Hi everyone. So what I wanted to do today was to follow up on a post that I did the other day. So the post that I did, if you guys saw it, if you didn't, scroll down and have a look at it now. I talked a lot about the back pain recovery mindset, and that's about knowing when to choose what to do, if you like, in your recovery, and about how you got to make the right decisions at the right time and be consistent with those to get the outcome that you want. You've got to be kind of rock solid in that mindset. You can't let all those aches and pains get inside your head. But what if an ache or a pain does need attention, or if it doesn't? There's a decision to be made there, and it's not always as easy or as clear cut as we first think often. Something that we teach within the Spinal Recovery Program is to be able to decipher and to decide whether this is an ache or a pain that requires me to do less, to back off. So am I just doing too much? Am I right at the top and maybe exceeding my circle of function? Or is this just an ache or a pain that doesn't really mean anything, and do I actually just need to push forwards to make sure that I'm working hard enough to expand my circle of function? Because we all get those little, when we start moving, we start exercising, we get aches or pains. I know that when I go and do a run, the first 5-10 minutes, ankles, knees, shoulders, hips, back, whatever, it all starts aching. After a little while, those endorphins kick in, that all goes away and it doesn't come back. So that's an ache or a pain to be ignored. And there's definitely a skill to make sure that we can get that right. Now, for you, to help you understand how long it takes to develop that skill, I'm going to tell you about the week that I've had this week. So I don't know how many of you guys know, I know a few of you know, but I tore my right hamstring about 6 or 7 weeks ago, something like that. And I've been rehabbing it since. It was really, really painful. It happened when I was kind of coming up to full speed when I was running, when I was playing football. That is the most common way for a footballer to injure their hamstring, when you're stepping forward, when you're kind of straightening your knee out in front of you to plant your foot. You just feel it go. It was kind of like, if anyone's ever clicked your back and you hear that big crunch, it felt like that, but kind of in the middle of my hamstring, in the middle of the back of my leg. So really, really painful. Felt like someone had shot me in the back of the leg. You then have all the kind of the emotion that goes on top of that, because I just started getting back into playing football after quite a number of years not playing. I was doing well, I was getting fit, so it wasn't a pleasant experience. But over the last 6 or 7 weeks, I've been applying all of the exercise principles and all the rehab principles that we use within our program, and I've been doing really well. And my right hamstring is pretty much kind of almost where I want it to be. The reason that I want to tell you about this week is because of my left hamstring. Now, during the recovery, I started to get what we call mirror pain. Excuse me. So mirror pain is where you start to get pain on the opposite side of the body to the injury. Now, I know there's nothing wrong. At that point, there was nothing at all wrong with my left hamstring. I couldn't aggravate the pain at all when I stretched or exercised my left hamstring. Nothing. Could not make that pain better or worse. It just was there. So I know that's just an ache or a pain that should be ignored. So I took some painkillers, got on with my life, ignored it, did all the stuff they wanted to do in my rehab. So that is an instance of pain, an ache or a pain, that we need to just ignore and continue what we want to do. This week was a little bit different. So I went to football training for the first time in a really long time on Wednesday night. I've been having some aches or pains in the left side anyway coming up to it. Not loads, but just a few. And I was actually, after training, I was then able to aggravate my hamstring doing certain movements. So because I can aggravate the pain and I can make it worse, that tells me this is not mirror pain. So in some way, I've aggravated something in my hamstring. And I had quite a significant amount of pain afterwards and throughout the week. And the thing that I found really difficult to get my head around was this. So when you exercise, your body will adapt to what you're doing. So when I've been exercising, both my hamstrings have been changing and been toughening up. They get thicker and stronger. Okay, so football is a specific exercise that puts a lot of demand on the hamstrings, and as the body adapts, it goes through something called the 𝑆AID principle, SAID. That's called specific adaptation to increased demands. So I'm getting my hamstrings to work harder, so they have to adapt and they have to become stronger in order to cope with what I'm asking it to do. So that's why if you do loads of gardening, you get calluses on your hands. So I don't know if you guys can see that there. I've got some calluses along the top of my hands there from being in the gym, from holding some weights. It's nothing to be concerned about. It's a completely normal process. That's because I've allowed SAID to happen, which means that my body has adapted without injury. If I didn't allow SAID to happen, if I didn't go slow enough, if I went too fast, I'll get a blister. Okay, so that's the same for you guys. If you get a new pair of shoes, you break them in, you build calluses to them, they mold your feet, fine. If you wear them too much too soon, they'll rub on your feet, the skin won't be ready for it, and you'll get a blister. So that is why I got the injury on my hamstring initially, because I didn't allow SAID to take place, on my right hamstring, sorry. I didn't allow SAID to take place, and I just put too much stress on it. Now, because I've not played football for a long time, building up tolerance again in my hamstrings is undoubtedly going to cause some aches or pains within my body. Okay, my knees have been really achy, my ankles, my feet, not a problem. The decision I had to make was, is the soreness in my hamstring just part of the molding, the SAID principle, the adapting that my hamstring is going through, or is it something that requires me to do I need to ignore it, or do I need to acknowledge it and do some rehab, or change how I'm managing it? And the thing where it gets difficult is kind of the emotion that I have in that subject, if you like, because when I injured my right hamstring, it was really painful, and it stopped me exercising for quite a period of time, and I really do not want to be doing that again on the other side whilst I'm still recovering on the first side. Okay, that's not going to be ideal. And so myself, even after gaining all of the knowledge that I have and understanding pain and exercise as well as I do, and being somebody who treats people every day with pain and injuries, I was still unsure on the right thing to do. So that is how long it takes you to develop the right skill set to get that right for you, and it's a seriously complicated decision. So here's what I did. So if you're stuck with, do I acknowledge this pain? Do I get it treated? Do I push through it? What do I do? This is what my advice would be. So this is what I've done this week. I've stayed active, but just easy stuff. So I've been doing loads and loads of walking. That doesn't aggravate my hamstring at all. I've been doing cycling. That doesn't really aggravate it at all. Don't sit around, but you just got to do stuff that you know doesn't contribute or aggravate your pain. If there's anything you think that may be a bit borderline, just leave it alone. Okay, so we're still doing stuff. We're not allowing the circular function to shrink, but we're not trying to find and push that top end. We're just letting the body just kind of work out what it's doing. So for you guys with back pain, walking's a really good shout. If you're unsure what to do, I often recommend my patients to do lots of little walks throughout the day. So if you've got like a loop around your house that's just 5 minutes, or even just walk 2.5 minutes down the road and 2.5 back, that's great. If you feel good after 5 minutes, you could do it again. You know, that's quite easy, manageable kind of chunk of time to work with. You can then stop after a 5-minute period when you feel like you've had enough. This is something that I wanted to talk to you about because it's a huge mistake that we see people make, and you can see why, because it's a very challenging thing to get right. And even after years of kind of building my own knowledge and my own understanding around things, I've still been able to get it wrong and still find it difficult to make that right decision as I have this week. So I hope you guys found that useful. I hope you found it relevant. I'm going to be dropping some more videos in here next week. If you found this content useful, then invite your friends or family in the group. Anybody you know struggling with back pain, if you think they can benefit from our content, then invite them in, stick them in the group, and tag them in the top video, the introductory video that's right at the top of the page. That's all from me. Have a great weekend, and I will be back with you all next week.